We're an African brand, made in Africa, made by Africans, for Africa and the rest of the world. Hi, I'm Ashish J. Thacker, and I'm the CEO of Mara Phones.
Why did you get into producing and manufacturing a mobile phone? It sounds so difficult because at the end of the day, you had to come up with a design, you had to make sure that you've got the know-how on the ground. It's not exactly the easiest industry to get into.
No, you're absolutely right, Anthony. I mean, you know, the biggest thing we thought about was the real way we're going to create a massive positive social impact on the continent, actually create real financial inclusion and so many other things is if people have a high quality and affordable smartphone. If people do have a high quality and affordable smartphone, you can imagine digital banking, true financial inclusion, digital education, digital healthcare, agricultural efficiency, e-commerce, last mile logistics, everything becomes possible. But our continent had two big challenges. One was that we have high quality, but they're not affordable. And then the affordable ones are terrible quality. And the second big challenge is we're not manufacturing anything in terms of smartphones on the continent. We're a pure consumer, not a producer. So that was the dream. That's how it was the seed was planted, and that's how Mara Phones was born, to address both of these issues. Price is $159 and $229 for the Mara X and Mara Z. But the key thing was, you see, what people misunderstand, Eleni, is affordability doesn't mean cheap.
Yeah.
Affordability means cash flow wise. Then the consumer has a choice saying, do I buy a cheap $50, $60 phone which is terrible quality, or do I pay $7 a month for a really high quality phone? So it's extremely affordable. Our consumers have a real expectation now. If you tell somebody it's a smartphone, they want good quality sound. They want great screen quality. They want to watch a YouTube video, right? They want to have that experience. So you can't really compromise on that.
So, you know, we've spoken a lot over the past few years, and I remember your story about how you actually got into business, and it started when you were really young. And it, funny enough, still had to do something with mobile phones because it was parts, right? It was chargers and various things. I want to know the thought process of Ashish going from a teenager and thinking, I've got to import the parts, and actually to producing the phone. Is there like a link that I'm missing here?
I'd love to say it was a part of the vision, but God has mysterious ways of working. And you're absolutely right. When I was 15, I quit school and took a $5,000 loan and set up an IT distribution business where I was filling my suitcase in Dubai with parts and selling them across the continent. To be doing manufacturing now, 23 years later, feels amazing. And you know, Eleni, the most touching part is when you go into our factory in Kigali or the factory in Durban, we've got over 200 employees in each plant. Over 90% are youth who are trained engineers, and over 60% are women. This is the highest gender ratio globally.
Do you want to be the Apple of Africa, or just on a total league of your own, where you start out on the continent, but you go global and you become a global phenomenon? And why not think that big?
I'm going to take inspiration from my President Kagame, who, when somebody said to him, Rwanda's like the Switzerland of Africa, he said, I'm not going to rest until people call Switzerland the Rwanda of Europe, right? Or Singapore the Rwanda of Asia. So I'm going to take that inspiration and say, I hope one day an Apple can kind of refer to being like the Mara of the US. But on a more serious note, I think, look, the sky is not the limit because we're taking this phone into space. but more importantly, I genuinely feel that the way Korea has Samsung, the way China has Huawei and Techno, the way the US has Apple, Africa finally has Mara Phones. Our ambition is not to necessarily be the largest player on the continent, but is to be the best player on the continent. And we believe with the long-term approach we're taking, with the fact that we're genuinely made in Africa, I think people are going to really take this on.